be sure 100%. Once I did these breaking tests, once I decided, I focus, I train myself where to hit, how to hit. Once I go up and I let it go, from that moment on, there is not one single second or a split of a second where I have doubts, where I think about what if, where I think about what do other people think, where I think about anything. It's a main decision and bam!
Yo, this is Christian D. Evans with Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our amazing podcast. This is where we reveal the top 1% of business concepts and systems and processes to scale 8 and 9 figure businesses. We interview top level 8 and 9 figure CEOs, business owners, and amazing TEDx speakers like David Meltzer. We got Nick Cavuto, Pascal Bachmann, and so many others. And if you feel like this resonates with you, please share this with your friend, your family, and make sure you impact them as well, because we're trying to spread the message on those that do not know how to scale 8, 9 figure businesses and talking higher level business concepts. So guys, remember, enjoy the episode and be uncommon if you can. Cheers. Thank you so much for tuning into Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. I'm your host, Christian D. Evans. And our next guest has generated more than $20 million over the last 25 years. He's coached more than 20,000 people, built 7 businesses in 3 different industries. And my gracious, I'm so excited about diving into his head, his knowledge, and what he's been able to do and produce. Now, he's also a business owner and professional who struggle to maintain their health and productivity due to their business busy schedules, take control of their health and mental state. That's what we're going to be diving into. That's what he's able to help individuals perform. You guys have a successful business. You guys are producing, creating. And the thing is you guys get too busy and you don't focus on, really optimizing everything. And that's why I wanted to have him on. Now, he focuses on transforming all 4 areas of life: health, mind, harmony, and wealth. And he has coached speaking engagements, has been able to help thousands of people, and incredible passionate about helping you learn the truth about your power, how to lead a healthy life, and increase your performance. His mission now is to empower 15 million doers to become healthy and successful leaders in business and in life. My friend, the one and only Pascal Bachmann. How you doing, my man?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me, Christian. Glad to be here right after Switzerland, back in North Carolina, and now on your show. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm so excited because you have just immense amount of background, and just there's so many personal questions that I want to ask, but let's kind of dive into this first, okay? When you're working with a business, okay, maybe mid 7 figures, maybe 8 figures, and you really want to help them scale to the next level, what do you find is like the 1 or 2 things that are the biggest hurdles, that are the biggest blind spots in their business and in their life?
Good question. I had this morning perfect example, actually. And what I said is, with individuals and or businesses, the process for me is always the same. And that brings me to the first hurdle. What I found is that most businesses start growing when personal growth stops. So often we forget who operates the business. Who is it? It's us, the entrepreneur. There's a human being behind the business, the human being behind the strategy, behind the value that we provide, behind anything we do. And this is something that is one of the most important things for me, to make sure that personal values are in line with the business mission and vision. Is that in line or not? And often it isn't. Often we get lost in all the things we do. We get so focused and create all these problems and challenges that hold us back in areas that has nothing to do with what we actually want and why we started the business. And the second thing is, what we found is the strategy on how to achieve those goals, those visions, are often not broken down enough. Like, the steps are way too far. And we know that we want to climb the Mount Everest. If we always look at the mountain, at the top of the mountain to where we go, that's an important part. But we have to break it down and realize that every step is a contribution toward the long-term vision. And we need to see and realize and celebrate these little steps. And that's the second point, that many businesses don't do that. They don't realize the achievement that is there all the time, and kind of get frustrated, demotivated. It goes too slow, no patience, and all that stuff that we all know. And then all these shiny objects come in, and we start to pay attention on things that, again, brings us off track. So these are mainly the two things that I realize with most of the clients that I work with.
So when you were developing several businesses in those three different industries, which is three different verticals, which is very tough to do, honestly. It's hard to even dominate one, but you dominated three. My question to you is, what were those small hurdles that you had to overcome in your own personal, life or business that allowed you to really, open up the floodgate and really be able to achieve that $20 million in results?
For me, it was, I made the note to myself, and I learned that from one of the top entrepreneurs in the US. 200 employees, one business. And first I was like, what is this about? And I started to realize, and often in workshops, I see that all these entrepreneurs and business owners come and they're all proud of what they do. They have 3 different businesses, 4 different businesses at the time, and so many stuff, so many legs that they count on. And Gary Vee, for example, I watched a video from him this morning. He said, you guys are afraid to go different directions at once. I experienced that in a different way. Most entrepreneurs who go or split up and decide to walk in different directions too early lose track. And this is what I had to realize with me. I had 4 or 5 different businesses going on, and they all looked good, and I was excited about all of them. But I needed to learn how to narrow down and focus my energy on one thing, and make that my priority, and scale that before I actually started to pay attention to something else. So for me, it's really where energy goes, or where focus goes, energy grows. That one thing, make that work, and learn how to say no if an opportunity appears that doesn't contribute to that main focus. And that's pretty hard to do, because in today's age we have so many opportunities and so many things that would work as well. But is it worth it to have 5, 6 times at a time, 5 things at a time, and not be able to contribute 100% to each of them? Not in my opinion. So that was the key for me, to really go and focus one by one and make that first successful, and then reinvest into the next business.
Well, you brought up a really good point, because I'm seeing this all the time, right? You watch something on YouTube, you told one thing, and all of a sudden your business coach tells you something totally different, right? And those are totally, each path is different upon what you want. And like you just said, Pascal, is like the focus and eliminating all the other distractions, the shiny objects, allow you to be able to achieve those results. And obviously you have Gary Vee, which is very reputable in his own right, but he says, hey, focusing on tons of different things. And I loved your approach, because you're right. I see that. And me personally, my own thing, I had to do the same thing. But let me ask you, Pascal, when you were able to eliminate it, because like you said, you had other businesses that were successful. And I know that was probably hard to say, okay, I got to eliminate all that. Maybe they're producing, maybe they're cash flowing, maybe there's one thing that's more exciting than the other. How did you, first of all, walk us through your thought process of eliminating those distractions? And what was your thought process like? Okay, hey, I'm going to go full throttle and all in on this one, and then kind of explain what that trajectory looked like in 6 to 8 months when you put all your energy and effort into that.
Right, perfect question. What I did is I went back to the very, very basic. For me, that's one pillar that you mentioned before, mind, which is about purpose. I put everything, and I have like I have like a ton of journals here that for everything I have a journal. And the one thing I did back then when I realized it's probably too much at once. And I remember how hard it was to make the decision, where do I put my focus to? And the thought of I cannot let this go because, and then all this reason, I invested too much time, too much money. It's one step away from the breakthrough and all that stuff. So that didn't help. I put everything aside and went to three main things. First, my personal identity. Who am I? Without the job description, without my name, without the position that I have, without what I did in the past, if I put that all away, what is there left? Who am I? And what do I truly want in my life? My vision. What is my life vision? I have different visions for all four pillars: health, mind, harmony, and wealth. But my life vision, what is that? What do I truly want? What can I not do? Why am I here? What would I do without being paid? Why am I here? And to visualize that and get clarity back on that vision without any destruction of what I do and what brings me money. And then to ensure, what is it that shows me that I am on mission with how I think, act, and feel? Is everything that I think of, that I do, contributing to that vision? And then it becomes easy. Then I went back to all my businesses and thought, okay, if I have the clarity there, and if I'm brutally honest and don't care about what I did so far and invested in all these businesses and things that sounds good, what is the one thing that I say, this is my true passion, this is my purpose, this is what I have to do? I made the decision for that, and it was still hard, to be honest, but I put everything aside and said, okay, this is the only thing I do. And then I started to realize, the thought process was completely different after I made the decision. I was fully occupied with all my time went into these different areas. And once I made the decision, which area I go, I realized that I don't have enough time for all that stuff. How can I scale? And then obviously I needed to build a team and build systems for the team and stuff like that. So it was a bumpy journey in the beginning, and I realized, for me at least, this is what works out. And to come back to your what you mentioned about Gary, I like a few of these guys, like Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, and some other people. And I really like the way they share their perception, their experience. But it doesn't mean that we have to agree all the time. And that comes back to, who are we? Who am I? What do I want? And of course, it's good to listen, to be coachable, to be open, to see and feel another perspective. But at the end, we need to make a decision, and that decision has to do with who I am and not somebody else. And that's why I believe it's important to listen, to learn, to be coachable. But at the end, we need to execute what is right for us. And that's different for everybody.
Well, you bring up some solid points, and it kind of let's unpack this a little bit, because see, you're exactly right. In order to get a 10 million, 8-figure business, you have to be someone different than you were to obviously, have a mid 7-figure business, right? And so, though a lot of individuals, a lot of business owners, and I'm guilty of this as well, is that we come in thinking, oh, we need a funnel optimization. Oh, we need top of funnel lead qualification. Oh, we need better sales conversion, right? We come in more, systematically, instead of thinking, oh, it's a lot of it has to do with our mindset and leader processes. So I'm curious, when you were scaling and building your business, right? And I'm not just talking business infrastructure, but what did you have to do? Walk me through that process to become that $20 million CEO that could withstand a $20 million business in operations. What did that look like?
It basically comes down to two things. You mentioned one. It's either the system or it's the people. And if we talk about the people, I talk about myself, because I'm the reflection, or the people that I hire are the reflection of who I am. So systems wise, it was important for me to create systems that allows my team to operate in a very logical, easy, systematic way. That was the easy part. But the people part is the part that you mentioned before. It's all about mindset. What I repeat myself again and again in many podcasts, on YouTube, everywhere. The story, our own story, the story that we tell ourselves is the story that we experience. And we believe, we have a belief, it's the past experiences, it's our parents, it's the mentors that we had or didn't have, it's our teachers, it's our environment, it's so much stuff that contributes to our belief system, and that belief system creates the reality that we face. And in order to break through with business, once the system part is done, it's really, we have to create a different story. If I can create a story that is an imagination that becomes a vision, and I can start and learn how to believe in that in a way that it flows into my systems, into my conversations, into everything I do, that frequency attracts what we need in order to scale. So for me, it's really write the story. The house that I'm living in here is literally in here as if already achieved. That was 15 August 2017. And I was writing and writing and writing every single day what I do, how it looks like. And before I realized it, damn, I'm living in that house. You don't want to see my new house, how that looks like. But just to give an example, I write a story that I believed in, and me rewriting it and creating that energy that allows me to attract what I need to attract in order to accomplish was the second part. Mindset, no goal is unachievable, and to also understand that progress is invisible. We always search for that progress. We expect to see the growth at all times, and often it is not. Know that you make invisible progress, and everything you do, if you are in line with your vision and mission, is a step towards the goal.
I love that. I really like what you just said there, specifically regarding you don't always see the growth, because I'm a big believer in this. Like when you go to the workout, like at the beginning of your workout, like you haven't worked out for a while, you start seeing massive growth. And then all of a sudden it's like a plateau. And then you don't see any growth, but it's just, you just keep doing it. You just keep doing the work. You keep doing the reps. And all of a sudden I feel like after that, then there's also massive jump. And that's where you get that exponential growth. And that's what I've noticed with just podcasting, with any business structure. And I just always find that very interesting. And I appreciate you kind of helping us walk through that. Now, my question to you then is, when you're in that time span, okay, you're seeing your business scale, you're seeing systems and processes working. Okay, wonderful. And then there is a plateau. And you expect that. And maybe that's at $2-3 million a lot of times. And you're just building infrastructure, building systems, you're building processes, and all of a sudden it explodes. Or at what point was that for you, where it was like plateau? But even though you didn't see massive explosion in whatever, but you said, I'm going to keep doing what I know. And what were those activities that helped you stay consistently disciplined on a daily, monthly, quarterly basis that help you produce that bigger result?
Good question. And I know that every business owner who's in the process of scaling reached that point. For me, that was actually the point to let go some other businesses, number one. Second, patience. If we know we do everything we can, we operate on the highest point of contribution every single day and stay consistent with that, it can be that there's no progress that we will experience. And the third thing that was the key for me, I took a mentor. I I was not at the point where I felt like I know it all, I achieve a lot and all that stuff. I decided to pick a mentor and stick with it. And you mentioned something in the beginning, like a few minutes ago about have the coach say this and then you experience this. That's something that I always tell people that I coach. If you decide to work with me, listen to me and nobody else. Because not that I'm the best, but I am with you in that boat. When I say yes to you, my goal is to achieve your goal with you. I'm not working you. I'm not doing that for money. Once I say yes, I want to achieve that goal of yours as much as you want it. And my whole brain, my whole being is part of you and your business in that moment. And to listen to other voices brings you off track. And that's something that I learned myself, because everybody have different opinions, which is good. There are many ways on how to scale and be more successful. Nothing is actually right and wrong. There's just different experiences, different perspective, different. We just need to make a decision, actually execute it, and stay on track, and have the patience and trust the process, trust the mentor or the coach. And then it's a question of time. And this, again, if we know that there's always two things, it's either the system or it's the people, we can focus and scale or change the systems or change the people.
100%. I love it. I love it. And now let me ask you this, because in the business, I'm seeing definitely when I consult with a lot of my businesses, the churn rate is really high, and they're really not maximizing the lifetime value of that customer. And I do understand just the power of like acquisition on the front end, that you really need to make sure that you're profiting as much as possible with the customers that you have currently, because then that's where your margins really, really increase. And so I'm just curious, what did you do in your businesses that really helped decrease the churn, whether that's, a subscription model, whatever, and then as well as increasing just the lifetime value of that customer? I just love to get some perspective on what you did.
Yeah, what we did is we wanted to keep that customer that was happy for the rest of his life. So we created yearly programs. We created a gold member card that allows the customer to come back to us. That was actually something that came pretty early. I had that in mind. What do we do once we fulfill? Once the customer is at the point where he say, hey, I'm happy, thank you. And instead of getting a handshake with the word goodbye, I wanted to have the handshake, what's next? And I think that's something that we should, as business owners, pay attention on. When we start a business model, when we have a service, when we provide value in any way, we always should think or start from the end in mind, from the perspective of the customers. Too often as business owners, we think for us. And that's a tricky thing. What else can I do for the customer? Or what else would the customer want from us? Are questions that I ask myself, and not what is the next thing that I can sell to make more money or get money out of the customer? What value is it that I can provide after the fulfillment, whatever service I provided, in order to keep the customer as a customer? And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to get more expensive, or I don't have to create some stuff. That's, by the way, something I see with many businesses. They come up with very funny ideas on how to sell more. What's the next sale, the next sale, the next sale? And it has nothing to do with the main reason why the customer came. So here's my service. I fulfill the service. What's next in that area? And how can I bring the customer to a point that not I have to sell, but the customer comes and say, hey, what's next? I want to keep working with you. Is there anything else? And this is always something that we strive for from the very beginning, before we actually launch the product.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing this because see, why I'm iterating on this so much and foot stomping on this is because I'm seeing a lot of, like you said, a lot of customers or a lot of business owners, when they do create like an upsell, it may not be even in the same vertical. It's like total randomness. And giving a good example, here's an SEO agency, and all of a sudden they come over here, and it maybe it's just like some other business structure. It's not like, oh, maybe an ad agency, maybe somewhere like what would be the natural evolution of that customer and that journey, and really identifying that. And then now let me ask you this: did you ever leverage a lot of, like, free acquisition, that is, did you ever leverage a lot of partners to kind of and referrals and affiliates, or did you kind of really scale your company through like paid acquisition or cold email? I love to get your response on what did you do on the front end.
Yeah, unusual. These businesses were all based in Europe. I never did any advertising. I never did any ads. We completely 100% grow organically through referrals. And lucky me, I guess. I mean, we didn't do anything, and we had a ton of clients and customers all the time. Today, once I decided to come to the US and change my whole approach, I'm looking for partnerships. I believe it's important. I believe it's important as having a team. We can grow after a certain point by ourselves. We need a team, and we can even expand more with partnerships. And I believe that's something that's not just business-wise smart to do, it's also sharing value. For example, right now, the other day I woke up in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't sleep, and I had this idea in my head about did you ever see how I looked like 3-4 years ago, lean and all that stuff? Did you see these pictures?
Yeah, I will definitely add another picture of it during this interview, but yeah, for
yeah.
our audience.
And right now I'm fat, like I'm 207, 210, and I told myself I do it one more time. There's a book called From Fit to Fat to Fit. What that guy did, I did that 12 times during 12 years, 12 different diets, each time 8 months. I even fasted for 60 days. First time 42 days, the second time 60 days, only tea and water, no food, nothing, no supplements, nothing. And so I did that, and I journaled how I felt with intermittent fasting, 8 months. Then I ate 3 months, 4 months normal. Then I went into a keto diet, and then I did all that stuff. And now I'm getting too old for that, for that stuff. So I told myself I'm going back to the body that feels most comfortable for me, that I like visually. And I thought, why doing it alone? I know how to do that stuff. I prepare bodybuilders to be on stage, and I made so many experiences. So I called a buddy of mine and say, hey, can we do a Facebook group? I'm going to do it for free. I don't want to make a program. I'm going to share my experience, and I invite all the leaders, the business leaders out there, and encourage them become healthy. Become healthy. How do you want to be a leader in your niche and don't care about yourself, about your health and body? Don't you know that you and your body need to be healthy in order to provide value that the world definitely needs for as many years as possible? And stop the excuses and make the change. And we are in the middle of processing. I'm probably even going to do some ads with my big belly here and show them this is what I am now. This is what I was. I'm going back there. It's for free. Join us. So back to your question, I believe to just provide value, to connect with each other, to do an affiliate, to do partnership, it's something that just increases the value from businesses, from individuals, from the receiver, from just everybody. And this is what I believe it should be about, providing value in the first place.
I love it. I love it because see what's interesting. You're exactly right, and it comes back down to the belief in the business, right? why you're doing that and why you can do that 12 times is because you already know that you can remove the weight. And it's just a matter of like strategy. Like your belief is there. It's like, oh, I already know what to do. I know where to go. And you know, it's not this subconscious stuff where I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know. I hope this is going to, blah. It's all this stuff you already know is a baseline. And then now you can just focus on the energy and just doing it instead of all this mindset stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I think so many people, we all like to talk about that mindset, because I remember, and I don't know if this was like you, I remember the first month when we pushed over $100,000. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we did it. This is unbelievable. And it was so bizarre because for many years, I remember 100,000 a month. And then now, of course, now we're beyond that. But I just remember that first time. And that was like a paradigm shift for me. Like, okay, I can do that. And, it's like a 4-minute mile that Russell Brunson always talks about. And I'm just curious, like, did you ever have that in your business? Did you ever have like, there was like a point where like, oh, wow, I made it. I got it. Okay, now the paradigm shift is totally switched.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there are multiple milestones that we reached, and it all is first an imagination, and very often ask yourself, is it a vision or is it an illusion? And once you get the proof, it's like, it's so satisfying. It's fulfillment. But then the next milestone is waiting, but it becomes achievable. And back to what you said a minute ago, an example that I often do is, and this is huge for me, the mindset. Where do you set your mind to? And I was doing martial arts I was a professional in Thailand for years. And when we do like how do you call that in English, when you break the stones?
Oh, I forget the terminology, but I know what you're talking about. But
yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
And I explained it so many times. How is it possible that you can take a baseball bat or a piece of stone and you put your fist here, and I take the baseball bat or the stone and your fist is completely broken, or the head completely, all the bones are splitting up and you're bleeding and all that stuff. How is it possible that a human being can break that baseball bat without a scratch? 5, 6 of these stones, like you have them here, and then you come in the right angle, you break it all through nothing. Why is that possible? The only difference is the mindset. It's the mindset. But here's the big but. You need to be sure 100%. Once I did these breaking tests, once I decided, I focus, I train myself where to hit, how to hit. Once I go up and I let it go, from that moment on, there is not one single second or a split of a second where I have doubts, where I think about what if, where I think about what do other people think, where I think about anything. It's a main decision, and bam, and everything is broken. No scratch, nothing. 100%. And the same thing is in business and life. If we know that, if we make the decision 100% and there's no way back, we don't think at all anymore, the decision is done, and boom, we go. It is impossible not to succeed and break through. And then there's no scratch and nothing in life and everywhere else. And that's something that I took from martial arts into business to really, I know how that works and what's possible. So it is in business as well.
I love that. What were some, because I like that approach, how you leverage some of the skills that you learned in martial arts and applied it to business. What were some other characteristics or other skills that you had to be very intentional with and removing, or maybe moving into your business or into your life? And I'm talking like, more discipline, more focus, more energy, more tenacity, more just, optimizing and automating certain processes. I'd love to kind of walk through that. What were some things that you learned from other attributes of your life, whether it be martial arts, that you had to implement in your business, in your life?
The one thing for me is consistency. It's like you said it before, going to the gym. We all want a good body. We want to lose fat. We want to gain muscle. We want to have a different physique. And we go to the gym. We show up 5 o'clock in the morning. We do a crazy workout, 2 hours. We sweat like a pig. We go back, look into the mirror, nothing. There's no change, nothing. But there is something that I did. And again, progress is invisible at that time. And the only way to actually change this long-term is consistency. But in order to be consistent, I need to have a belief system that is strong. I need to know what I want and why I want it. And I need to be willing to walk the path until I reach the goal. And this is the one approach that I apply to every single aspect of my business. Systems, people. Like when I, for example, when I hire people, and many of my colleagues, especially here in the US, that's kind of new for me, that some of my colleagues, they don't even know their employees. They have some VAs and stuff like everywhere. I want to, that's a human being working for me. I call them often money collectors. I want to work and interact with a human being. That person has a life, and empathy is important there. And I care about the person. What values, what are your core values? Why do you like to work for me? Why do you think you can contribute your passion to my business and work with me? All that little things that for many people are, it's not important, forget it. For me, this is energy and the frequency that is in my company, and long-term, that makes the difference. So it's for systems, it's for hiring processes, it's for pretty much everything to go down to the very bottom and really care for every single aspect in the business. Is it just a system that runs, or do I really understand it? And is that system what provides a customer journey that I would like to experience as a customer? Is this a person that worked for me who's, I just quit someone. I just let someone go yesterday morning. Let me, I made, just 1 second here. Hey, Pascal, just sent this through email. I completely understand. I tried my best and in different ways, was trying to get call schedule, blah, 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 blah. Hopefully we get to work together soon when things are in the right place. Thank you for being a great boss. I will not forget the help of blah, blah, blah. You let someone go and they write you an email and say, thank you. Why is that? And I believe this is the company culture that is our responsibility. How much do we really care? Not just for money, for our clients, for everything that we have in our business. And for me, this is the game changer and the difference from a certain level on to the next.
I love this because it's so, to me, it's like so common sense, right? It's like, how can I scale? How can I build? It's just be relational, right? Having a relationship where all of a sudden the customer just enjoys working with you so much that they do not want to leave. How do you increase lifetime value? That's how, right? The same thing with your employees. Just love on them so much that they don't want to leave. And if you have to fire them, and there's that still mutual respect and love and relationship. And I'm curious, were you always that way? Or where did that come from? Did you learn that from somewhere else? Or I'm just curious what?
I was completely opposite. I think I was mean, unfriendly, rude. They often compare me character-wise with Steve Jobs. Even my wife told me when she saw the movie, he was exactly like you were back then. And the way or the reason why I changed, I think I just hang out with different people. Like I said before, I had a mentor. I have different mentors, and I just pick up stuff and see what they do, and with how much passion they operate their business. And when I talk about my business, I talk always about 3 stages. The first stage, I did it for money. The second stage, I made myself and others believe that I'm not doing it for money, but for passion and for value. But I actually was lying. And now the third stage, I call it my luxury to pick with who I work. Because for me, I had this morning a call with a gentleman, a very successful business owner from New York. And I told him, listen, the reason why I'm on the call today is really, I want to get to know you. I want you to know me, and we need to feel something. Is there a match? How's the frequency? Do we like each other? Because if not, we don't need to go on. I don't want any details from your business, and we don't need to waste time if we don't like each other. And I'm working every year just with 20 personal one-on-one clients. So I pick and choose the ones that I feel most comfortable with, because it's going to be a relationship. There are going to be a lot of things coming in the future, and I just want to be at the point where I love to walk with that person or that business for a long period of time. So I was different, but I pick up a lot of things on how to actually express myself in a way that is in line with my core values. But it was a journey over a few years.
So now that you've accomplished so much, right? I mean, you've built incredible businesses, you've impacted, coached hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people. Now that you're at this pinnacle, right? Where else can you go? What else is your dream? What is that vision? If you could just share it with your audience, what's that next level for you to achieve?
I think that's a question that everybody on your podcast should ask themselves as well. What is the next level? What is it that I really want? And I don't know how it is with you when I ask this question, when I do workshops and stuff, or even on stages when I speak. I ask, what do you really want? They come with all this financial freedom, a house on the beach, the car, and all that stuff. But what do we really want? I believe that the one thing that we all looking for is to be fulfillment. And success, however I define that, is at the end, if we break it down, is achievement. We achieve something, and that achievement can fulfill us. But then again, who am I? What is it what I really want in my life, my vision? How much time did I think about these stuff? Because there are studies, people in their last hours in the hospitals, they ask, what do you regret? If you could go back, what would you do different? Nobody talk about money and fame and success and all that stuff. It's all about relationship. They regret that they didn't have enough relationship. They regret that they didn't have enough courage to do what they actually love to do and wanted to do. All this kind of stuff, the life stuff matters. And for me, this is what I'm looking for. My next level is to really empower and guide achievers or doers. That's my qualifier. I empower achievers or doers to become healthy leaders in business and life. Because I believe that we come all from the same place. We all have that fire, that light within us somewhere. We all have it. But we grow up with all these layers, this mask and all these layers. And somewhere down here, all over these layers, is that light that combines us, humanity, the society, with each other. And this is the place of truth, of love, oneness. And this is something that is my next goal, to really empower people to access that part within themselves, because that creates better businesses, true value. It just contributes to a better world. And I think this is what we obviously need. That's also the reason why I write my books, to really wake up society and say, hey, how about starting with yourself? Maybe it's you. Maybe you can be the change that this planet needs. Maybe it is you. And to have the courage and be brave enough to actually look into the mirror, into your own eyes, and have serious talk. And most people can't.
Well, it's interesting because it's that relationship, right? It's that old adage that says, hey, you help enough people get what they want, then you'll get what you want. However, though, you have to help those people actually get what they want. And like you were coming back to adding value, right? That was the whole point, right? How do you increase? How do you grow your business? What does that look like? And what were the acquisition channels? Just adding value to people, just going out of your way. And what's interesting, and I've always kind of thought this, but I never really could put it into words. It was that whole concept: give the person the answer. Don't charge them. Don't make them charge for the answer. Just give them the answer, and then help them stay accountable, and the charge for the accountability, right? The implementation of it. And I thought that was brilliant in a way, because it's like, oh, that this makes perfect sense. Because it's like, people don't want, there's just so much information. You can find the answer and then just keep them accountable, and have that, like yourself, Pascal, that you've been able to coach and be accountable, and really keep people accountable because of your systems and processes. I just really appreciate the time and energy you've put in today, and just the immense knowledge. Now, how can our audience just be around your community, be around your ecosystem, consume some of your content? How can they reach out to you, bud?
PascalBachmann.com is my website. And then I'm on the top of the website, you find pretty much all the information: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all that stuff. But this is how I interact most of the time.
Awesome, guys. And those links will be in the description below, so you can make sure you guys click on that. Now, before I let you go, there's a few other questions I want to ask you, because we were talking before the podcast about a few creative, fun activities you got going on, and they're going to be released here at the end of Q4, I believe, end of year. Several books you're writing on, a lot of passion projects, a lot of cool content, and you've got a lot of people that are going to be part of your book launch. Would you kind of just share with our audience what that looks like and why you're excited about it, bud?
That's my first book in English. I wrote 2 books here, but these are dated. This is Learn from the Best Experts, and this one is Success Perspectives, but they are in German. My first book is a trilogy, actually 3 books, and I'm excited about that, because the last 2-3 years that I spent in the US, I just see so much going on with politics, with the health systems, so many people struggle in personal life, in business. And most of the time when you talk to people, most of them complain toward something. It's the economy, it's COVID, it's the president, it's if it comes to health, it's my genes, my grandma. It's always something or someone. And I just had enough of it. When I had a practice for Asian therapies for 10 years in Switzerland. 95% of the people who came with self-inflicted civilization diseases. These were problems that they produced by the lifestyle they choose to live. And when I treated these people, I realized that most of them have problems: strokes, heart diseases, cancer, all that stuff were results because most of these people, and often entrepreneurs, they live against their personal values every single day. This is what creates the disease. It's the decision these people made to work for a boss 15 years that they did in life, to stay in a relationship for 10 years that they're not happy in, to do all that stuff. This is what creates the disease and the problems. And it just never stops. So I decided, okay, instead of being one of the complainers, just write a book and call it Irresponsible Society, with the subtitle Wake Up. It's not Obama, it's not Trump, it's not Biden. Maybe it's you. Maybe you should take a look at the mirror and say, okay, where can I change? What can I do different? Maybe what I experience every day in business and life is nothing else than the reflection of my perception. Maybe I experience what I have deep down within me somehow, and I project that stuff and experience it the way I experience. So how about changing my own perception on things and do things differently? And if everybody just does a little bit more every single day and work on themselves instead of judging someone else, I'm sure we would have a different world. So that's the first book. The second book that will be launched, by the way, in Q4 this year. The second one, or the other, both of them will be launched 2023. How to Have It All, which is the answer to the Irresponsible Society. Can you have it all? And then How to Have It All. And in that third book, I will include some high performance that your audience probably know. People who actually live the life that many of us want, the fulfilled life. So I'm pretty excited about this because that's something that I didn't plan to do for a long time. I decided to do it instead of complaining and come with solutions.
Well, I love it because honestly, you're hitting and you're slapping upside people's head quite a bit with those books, and I love it, man. I love the truth, and truth hurts. It doesn't matter how your stomach can intake it or how your stomach can withstand it, but truth is needed in today's world, man. I'm glad you're kind of accomplishing those topics with those books. So make sure you loop us in with that, because I'd love to have that conversation with you when you publish that. And before we let you go, is there any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience, bud?
It's for me always the same sentence after every speech on stage. Make sure you reach your goals healthy, otherwise you won't be able to enjoy them. We all hunt success, fame, power, and I've treated people like this for 10 years. They had it all: houses, wives, they had money, they had success, they had fame, and they came in broke when it was too late. So it's not worth it. That's why to build a frame that includes all area of life, even though if we believe we are super busy in business, don't forget all the other areas in life that you should take care of, that contributes to your being and provides you with energy that can result in even more business. Just because we believe it's just about business and fame and money.
That's awesome, guys. And that is my friend, Pascal Bachmann. And that is Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. Until next time, remember, be uncommon if you can. Yo, this is Christian D. Evans, Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. We thank you so much for listening to this amazing episode. If you feel and you know that this was valuable to you, please show some love to our amazing guest by liking this, by commenting on this, by making sure that you do a nice 5-star review and just show some love to our guest. That'd be really awesome. Also, make sure you share this with a friend, a family, a colleague, someone that you believe would bring value to their life right now. And guys, we just want to say thank you again for just being part of our community. If you want to have more resources, don't be afraid. Go to christiandevans.com. You can actually schedule a phone call with me, or you can send me an email at christian.evans@beuncommonifyoucan.com. That's christian.evans@beuncommonifyoucan.com. Always love to hear some feedback, and let me know what is the number 1 or 2 things that you are struggling
struggling in your business and your life, and we'll make sure we have those conversations. Guys, that is Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. And until next time, remember, be uncommon if you can. Cheers.